Hello, everybody. So good to see everybody. Those of you that have your cameras on, I'm glad that you are here for another Monday meditation. As we are quickly heading into holiday times. And remember, last week we talked about our breathing. We talked about how important it is that we be breathing deep, that we're breathing in and out as slowly as we can. So go ahead and begin to even be thinking about that, that as I go into this time, for what we know is coming, that I'm going to go ahead and begin to relax. I'm going to go ahead and begin to notice my breathing and slow it down. Just go ahead and make that decision because that's already alerting your brain and your body that you want to do something that's calming. I will tell you that for those of you who wear glasses, sometimes if you take your glasses off while you do meditation, it's easier. They become distracting, and I know it's like sometimes it's like, well, wait a minute, I feel like I'm naked without my glasses. You don't have to. I'm just giving you tidbits of things that we've heard that sometimes, we forget that it's part of it. If you sit comfortably, feet flat on the floor, tongue on the roof of your mouth, all of these things, as I'm even just about to read something from the word. These are things that get us ready for where we're wanting to go. Sometimes we just hurry about everything. We just hurry about it all. It's like, okay, we got to hurry up and get this done. I got to hurry up and do my meditation. I got to hurry up and spend time with Jesus. I got to hurry up and get my kids to school, or I got to hurry up and get across town. You know what? I want Monday meditations to be one of those things where you just, all the hurry just falls by the wayside. Those of you who, I know we have people on here who have, ADHD and things like that. All the hurry right now, it begins with, we're going to keep adding building blocks to this, but it begins with our breathing. It begins with an intention on the inside of, you know what? There's no diagnosis that's going to keep me from experiencing you, Jesus. What if the woman with the issue of blood had said, I've been to every doctor. They've all told me there's no hope. They've all told me it's not ever going to be healed. What if she had said, okay, well, I guess that's what I'm stuck with. No. She said, Jesus is here. Jesus is here, and I'll touch the hem of his garment. And we know that that was a cultural thing, that she didn't have to touch the hem of his garment to get healed, but you know what? She was willing to. So, in this moment, as we're thinking about our breathing, we're letting all of our diagnoses fall by the wayside. And we're saying, I choose relaxation right now. I choose to begin to notice that my breathing is smooth and even. It's slow and steady. And I'm going to read to you today, as we're going into a time and a season of being with families. There's nobody that can people around us like families can, that can cause us to not want to be who we are in Jesus. I'm going to tell you something. I can take a whole lot from everybody, but when it comes to family, they can say one thing and I'm like, I'm done. I'm done. All of that Jesus just seeps out of me for a moment. So we're going to read Colossians 3, verse 12. It says, you are always, and you can just listen to this. I'll give you the reference at the end again so that you can write it down. I want you just to kind of let this flow over you today. You are always and dearly loved by God. It's one of my favorites. He starts out. So just go ahead and close your eyes. You are dearly loved by God. Just internally acknowledge, I am dearly loved by God. Use your own name, Jennifer. Jennifer is dearly loved by God. And as you keep your eyes closed and your breathing is slow and smooth and even, you're making the decision to just let this passage of scripture, let it just wash over you. We're going to create our picture as I read this. And we start with, I'm dearly loved by God. So count yourself down. 3, 3, 3. Relax. As I make the decision, I'm going to let this just become part of who I am. 2, 2, 2. Relax. Choosing this moment of meditation, relaxation, and inner awareness. Just choosing it right now. Just saying, I choose this. I came here for this. I relax. I let go of every thought that would try to distract me, because I am dearly loved by God. He desires to connect with me in my heart right now. He desires this even more than I do. And silently see and say, 1, 1, 1. Relax. You see Jesus. You see his love as it just pours out of him. So robe yourself with the virtues of God, since you've been divinely chosen to be holy. And he walks up to you and he puts a robe on you. And it's the most beautiful robe you've ever seen. And you know, this is a very costly robe. He paid a high price to be able to share this robe with me. And he puts this robe on me. And I feel how it feels to have that robe wrapped around me, knowing that I am set apart. That's what holy is. I'm set apart. Be merciful as you endeavor to understand others. The first thing I notice on this robe is the word merciful. And every time I acknowledge that I'm wearing this robe, I look in Jesus's eyes and I experience his mercy. And because I experience his mercy towards me, I have mercy for those around me. I love this robe. It fits me perfectly. It's made out of a material that I love to feel. And I know that as I look in Jesus' eyes, he says, you are holy, which means you can have mercy and be compassionate, showing kindness toward all. And you feel this compassion that's coming from him. And you see that word on the robe. So you know you're filled with compassion because you feel it from him. As you wear this robe, you know it's filled with compassion and kindness for everyone around you. Be gentle and humble, unoffendable in your patience with others. Once again, you see in this robe a gentleness and a humbleness. You feel it as you wear it. Jesus takes you by the hand and he walks you along, and you can tell that he's so proud of who you are because you wear his robe. You wear his robe and you display mercy and you display compassion and you display kindness and you display patience. You display gentleness and humbleness, not because you're trying to be these things, because as you walk along, you realize you're not trying, you're just walking. You're just being. You look at Jesus and you see a smile as he shows you off. This is my child. You remind yourself again, I'm so dearly loved. Tolerate the weaknesses of those in the family of faith, forgiving one another in the same way you have been graciously forgiven by Jesus Christ. In this moment, while you're wearing this robe, think of that person or that situation that you've been struggling with. You've been struggling to forgive, that you've been struggling to let go of. As you think of that situation, make the decision right now that part of my humbleness is that I'm willing to choose to tolerate the weaknesses of other people, to be forgiving, to be unoffendable in my patience. And sometimes our heads are screaming, no, 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 that is not me. That is not me. I can't do that. But right now, in this moment as you're wearing his robe that he has put upon you, and you feel his love, and you know that you are compassionate and you are merciful and you really are kind and you really are gentle and humble. You feel yourself being willing to give Jesus this situation, this pain, this unforgiveness, this bitterness, whatever it is, you feel yourself willing to give it to him. As you give it to him, he gives back to you his love. And he gives it to you in some item. And you get to decide what that item is. But as you take that item, you put it in the pocket of the robe. Because you know every time you want to think about that situation, every time you want to get offended about that situation, or every time you have to face that person again, you know you can put your hand in your pocket of your robe. And you can hold that item and you can remember, I gave this to Jesus. And he gave this back to me to remind me of his love and value for me, of how he holds me in high regard, that I'm precious to him. I look in his eyes again and I see his love for me. I notice again how good this robe feels. If you find fault with someone, release the same gift of forgiveness to them. This item we have in our pocket, it can now become our forgiveness item. It's the item that I say every time I think about touching this. I'm right back in this moment where I'm standing with Jesus. I'm wearing his robe of virtues. I am holy and set apart. I'm experiencing it. It is mine. It's real. It's not just an imagination. It's the truth. And I'm right back in this moment as I hold that item. So I let go of anything. And I release forgiveness. For love is supreme and must flow through each of these virtues. Because what's happening in this moment is that mercy and that compassion, and that kindness and that gentleness and that humbleness, all of these virtues that I see written on this robe. Love flows through them. Love is the motive. Love is where it starts. Because I'm standing here in this moment, knowing I'm loved, knowing I'm precious, knowing I'm valuable. And I put my hand in my pocket again. as I hold that item. And I feel his love. I feel his love. Because it's flowing through me. I receive it from Jesus. I choose to receive it from Jesus. Now I'm going to count to 5 and we'll open our eyes together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I want you to just take a minute. I want you to think about the item. I want you to think about what color it is. I want you to think about what it looks like, what it feels like to hold it in your hand. Now, I want you, if you have your eyes open, I want you to close your eyes again. We're going to walk down a flight of steps, knowing that we're going to go through a door when we get to the bottom. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, going deeper. 4, 3, 2, 1, walking through the doorway. And as soon as you walk through that doorway and you see Jesus and you look down, you're wearing that robe again. You put your hand in your pocket and you feel that item. You feel how it feels. You know the color of it. And you know that every time you touch it, his love rises up inside of you. You feel so loved. It's beyond explanation. And you know you're wearing a robe. That all those virtues come naturally because they're coming through the love that you feel as you hold this item. And now I'll count to 5 and we'll open our eyes together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When we get off here in a minute, I want you to write about your item. I want you to write what it was. I want you to write the color it was. I want you to describe it. Describe how it felt. Describe your robe. Write it down. Because part of what happens is that as we move throughout our days, you know what? If you don't get what the item is, let's make it a beautiful pearl. It's white and it's luxurious and its surface is smooth and it's round And every time you touch it, you remember that Jesus loves you. That's what it represents. Because you gave up something you were struggling with, and in return, He gave you this. And so now it represents His love. And so every time you touch the item, in your imagination, in your thoughts, every time you do what we just did and you close your eyes again and you see yourself with the robe on and you see yourself with that item and you hold that item and you touch that item, you can be in a conversation with someone, a family member, somebody who gets on your nerves. You can be in a difficult situation. You can be getting madder than you've ever been in your entire life. You can be ready to shove somebody off the top of a building. And all you have to do is take a minute. You don't have to close your eyes. This can become so real that it's just part of who you are. You can, in your own thoughts, put your hand back in your pocket, feel that pearl, hold it, knowing that it's of great price, just like you are to Jesus, and you'll experience that love. And the more you will close your eyes and go back to the place where you felt Jesus put that robe on you and you felt what it, for me, it felt so intimate when He put it on me. It was just me and Him. All of you guys weren't even there. It was just me and Him, and He put that robe on me. And as I read through the different virtues, I began to see that virtue. And for me, it came more alive in the robe than just a word. But sometimes, I'm just trying to give you something to give you a picture of, see the word compassion. And as you wear that robe, and you know that you've got that pearl of great price in your pocket, or whatever your item was, whatever it looked like, whatever it felt like, as long as you'll remember that, then you can be in the middle of a difficult situation and go right back to that moment. And there will be a love that will wash over you, that as you're dealing with that situation, you'll know exactly how to deal with it from the place of wisdom. And that's really what we're seeking, is we want to deal with our situations from a place of wisdom. Proverbs tell us to love wisdom. James tells us, if you need it, ask for it. He gives it in abundance. But very often we forget to ask. And so, as you guys, my grateful gang, I forgot to call you my grateful gang this morning, but don't forget that's who we are. We're being grateful. We're being people of gratefulness and thankfulness, and we are being a light in the dark world to show what it can look like in a very difficult time. I'm going to tell you something. Peace is not a goal to be reached. Peace is a state of being. So as you go through this week, don't try to say, I just got to get at peace. I just got to get at peace. No, you just got to remind yourself, wait a minute, I'm wearing a robe that's filled with virtues. So peace is it's my state of where I live. And so don't try to make it a goal. Try to make it a way of life. And so I told you guys that I would tell you, I was reading from Colossians 3, and I read verses 12 through 14 in the Passion Translation. And so that's what I felt the Lord leading me to read today. And it ended up being where we went for the meditation in a different way than I had planned. So thanks for going along. So often I get on here and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And then I'm like, nope, that's not what I'm going to do. The Holy Spirit says we're going to do something different. So thank you guys for being here. I hope you have a fantastic week. I appreciate that you guys spend this time with me. These are getting put up on my YouTube channel, so you can always go back and watch any that you may have missed or any that you want to do again. So this one will be up in a day or so, and it'll be available to you. And so I love you guys. Happy Thanksgiving to my United States friends, and to the rest of you. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you next Monday, 11 o'clock Central for me, and then whatever time it is for all of you precious people. Bye, guys.